So I'll try to wrap up on time so we can have the lucky draw for the AirPods. Right, okay, so jokes aside, thank you again for dialing in. Right, we are now live in Singapore. I would love to be there in Jakarta with you guys, but sadly, right, again, pandemic problems. So no problem, we can do this live. Just a disclaimer, sometimes the lighting here could be a little bit problematic. You may not see the true colors. So if you do see some color discrepancy, please bear with us, right? No problem, we can always send you samples. You can see it up close. That would be the preferable method. But if you see a different shade of color than what I see here, then our apologies, right? We have a very bad lighting issue over here. Okay, so that aside, again, we are here very excited to share with you our latest portfolio, right? The Z9 Plus Pro, right? So some key value propositions for you to consider why this could be the printer that could meet your needs, right? First and foremost, right, it is going to help you lead in terms of productivity. Right, it has a faster media loading than the previous model. At the same time, it is also able to print at very high speeds. Speeds we're looking at for a normal glossy canvas, we're looking at around 19 square meters an hour. Right, very good throughput. Right, so whoever said that high quality prints cannot be fast. Right, so this is the right machine that's going to meet, that's going to solve that problem. Right, glossy photo papers at 19 square meters, perfect. Right, even at best quality mode, you're looking at 14 square meters. Sorry, 19 for normal, 14 square meters for best. Right. At the same time, you can also do tons of different applications, whether it's for your photo papers, whether it's for your fine art. You can also do your backlit films if you are looking into the retail. Right, more on that later. We are also having a improved quality that's going to give you an exceptional image quality, right? So that's thanks to our HP pixel control, right? To give you control right down to the pixel level, right? Not just your separation, but right down to pixel level to give you the better transitions that you want, reduce the grain that you don't want to see, and overall giving you a splendid image quality. And of course, last of all, we have what we call a greatest control that you can ever want or wish in a printer, right? We have a very smart solution called the Print OS, right? This is something new for this platform, right? It wasn't available on the previous Z68 series, right? So this is quite new. It will be very interesting for you. You have absolute control, right? Remotely. Meaning to say, just a brief one, you don't need to be on site by the printer, but you can actually monitor, right, through your computer or even your mobile phone, right? So you have everything in your hands without having to be near the printer, right? So that's a quick overview of some of the highlights, right? But first and foremost, right, a lot of customers ask me several times, right, why would I need such a printer like this, right? So this printer, a little bit big, 64 inches, but it allows you to have a wide range of different applications. It doesn't matter whether you are in professional photography, like Joshua, right? A professional photographer, right? It is able to help you dish out the professional photo quality that you're looking for, right? With our expanded chromatic RGB colors, right? You can also be in the fine art space where you produce exceptional fine art pieces, right? That's going to last a long time, right? It can be for your canvas, it can be for your fine art papers. And lastly, also, it can also fit you if you are looking to penetrate or expand your retail signage, right? You can also use this, like I mentioned earlier, for signage, store signages, like the backlits, that's going to capture the retail audience. So I would say this printer is more than just photo. It allows you to expand your offerings, right, beyond what you can currently do. Right, so that's a quick explanation, right? So a little bit about the product, right? Just now I mentioned it is 64 inches, right? So some new changes, right? We are spindleless, right? So that saves you some time, right? Trying to maneuver with the spindle, right? Because it's going to be bulky at 64 inches. So we remove that. So now it's spindleless, right? You have a very efficient and productive way of loading. I'm going to show you very shortly, right? Also, we have a brand new touchscreen. Shortly, I'll share the screen shortly. But for those of you that are very color critical, you will like this, right? You may not have known. We are having a embedded I1 spectrophotometer in the carriage. So if color is your primary concern, right, you are very critical on color, this printer with the I1 is able to help you control and manage your color. So you have good, consistent, repeatable colors by having the calibration performed on the machine. Right, not just that. Getting good colors, getting good consistent colors is important. Right, of course, the profiling is also important. So the I1 will also allow you to do ICC profiling for your various type of material, whether it's your paper, whether it's your canvas, so on and so forth. These are available on the printer for you to do profiling. Right, so no longer you need to rely on someone external. You can now DIY yourself with the embedded I1 spectrophotometer. Right, so now let's take a look at the new front panel. Right, so this is how it looks like over here on my right. Good. Right, so we made some changes to the interface. Some of you might have seen this before. It was previously on the page wide models as well, right? Maybe you never seen it, but it's fine. But we can go through this right now. So it's touch screen, highly intuitive, right? And the icons, of course, are self-explanatory, right? So over here, we can take a look at the ink estimated level, how much ink is remaining, right? So if you need to replenish your stock, right, this is where you will see your ink levels. At the same time, also our print heads, right? How much ink is fired, and so on and so forth, right? So of course, one feature that I personally love is the job queue, which I touch on a little bit later. So first, let me remove this print that I printed earlier, because I want to show you how we are better, faster in terms of media loading than before. Right, so let me just cut this off. And just put it aside. Okay, so briefly, right, I mentioned by default, the printer comes with one single row, right? You can load one single row. So the bottom row 2 is an option. You can either purchase the take-up rail or a alternate row 2 option, right? So of course, in the demo center, I have the full solution, right? So we have a dual row function on this. So now I'm going to show you how easy it is to perform a loading automatically, right? So apart from being spindleless, right, this is able to do the loading for you, right? So all you need to do is to trigger the loading process by pulling the rod over here, right? So you notice on the screen is showing checking row 2, right? So previously we had a print, right? So now it is removing the row 2 from the path to allow my row to go in, right? So it's very smart. It will know, it will do the automatic row switching for you. So if you can see on the front panel, how do we load? Very simple, right? Just slide it like this, and then move this over here. So there's a small little latch right here, right? Snap it into position, right? And then all I have to do is to lift up this pivot. So what's going to happen on the front panel, you can see I will select what I'm going to load, right? The printer is smart, but still you need to tell it what you're loading. So I'm going to load the Natura backlit film, right? Just for demonstration purposes, right? So what it's doing now, right? You saw it rotating several rounds, right? It is feeling for the leading edge of the material. So once it latches on, right, it's going to feed it into the printer automatically. I didn't do anything. This is all done by the printer, right? So right now, the media has been fed into the print zone. So the line sensor is going to detect your media width for you. So at this point in time, my job, basically it's done from the moment I lift this. So very, very simple user experience versus any other printer that you see out there, right? All you need to do, lock it into position, pivot up this handle, job done. You can go back to your computer, right, to prepare for your jobs, and then the machine will take care of the loading automatically for you. So it takes around 60 seconds, and very quickly, right, the row has been loaded successfully. Simple, right? So now you can see both row 1 and row 2 are loaded already, right? So back to the job queue I mentioned earlier, right? One added feature that I really like is the job queue function, right? So it basically serves as a history for you. So if you're doing a certain print, for example, the red color poster I printed earlier, right? You are supposed to produce 50 copies, right? So one of it apparently has some problems, right? During your mounting or your trimming, no problem. You can reprint right off the front panel, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my last job like this, and now I'm going to click reprint, right? But before that, being a touch screen monitor, right? You're able to click in and zoom and check out what kind of images do you have inside and whether it's the right file, right? So if you have a 2-pager, right, you will see this in the preview. So you will never reprint the wrong file, right? So that saves you a lot of unnecessary waste, right? So I'm going to go here, click on the arrow, right? And then I will click on reprint. So the printer will prompt you, how many copies do you need? I'll just do 1, right? And at the paper source, I'll leave it as original. And the destination, of course, original, right? The machine comes with a basket by default. So now, right, it will prepare and print the job that I loaded earlier. So you will see, checking row 1. So the machine is very smart. It knows that row 1 is loaded with the film. It will not proceed to print on the wrong material. So there is an automatic row selection policy, right? So that prevents, again, unnecessary waste, right? You don't want to print something that is meant for a canvas on a film, right? Likewise, you don't want to print a poster on a film. So in this case, it's going to move row 2. It will move row 1 out of the way. So row 2 can take its position, and then it will start the print job, right? So it's going to tell you, right, row 1 is out of the way now, still loaded, but it is out of the way so that row 2 can be in position, right? So now we are ready to rock and roll, right? So it's going to be printing, right? So while it's printing, right, let's take a little look at the new ink cartridges. We made some changes, not just to the design of the ink cartridges, but also how you insert. So previously, it will look something like this. Something like this, yes. Right, so very, some of you might be very used to this, right? You have to pull the blue color lever, right, to extract the ink cartridges, right? So this time now, we make some changes to how the inks are being inserted. So now it's a push-pull mechanism. Right? Unfortunately, we're printing right now, so I can't really show you, but I'll show you a close-up of how it looks like. So let's move over to the ink cartridge camera. Good. So this was what you saw earlier, right? In the predecessor models, right? Something like this. It comes in plastic, right? And this is how it looks like now, right? Some key changes. Number 1, ink capacity, right? So previously we have a 775 ink capacity, right? So now we bump it up to 1 liters, right? So this additional ink inside every single cartridge is going to give you an extended print run, right? So you replace less often, right? So you don't have to intervene your jobs. So it doesn't intervene your job runs, basically, right? So now it comes in 1 liter, right? Versus the previous cartridge, which is 775, right? That's not all, right? We also made changes to the design, quite obviously, right? So in tune with sustainability, right? These ink cartridges now come in a corrugated packaging like this, right? So this is now recyclable, right? By switching from these plastic ones to this, HP, right, our supply chain, our production, right, basically reduced up to 66%, right, of carbon footprint just by switching between these two materials, right? So for those of you who are a keen advocate of sustainability, right? You want to reduce the carbon footprint, right? This will be a potential benefit for you to look at and consider, right? So after printing, this is recyclable, right? You can simply remove the corrugated carton and then recyclable. This one as well, right? This is reusable, right? You can contact our HP partner Planet Partner Program, right? And this will be sent back to HP, right? So very efficient recycling, recycling in place for you guys, right? If you are looking into reducing the carbon footprint, right? So that's a little bit about the inks. Next, we look at the print heads, right? So this was how it looks like previously, right? We are around 0.85 inches. Oops, sorry. 0.85 inches per print head, right? So this time around, we are bumping up to 1.3 inches. So we're gonna look like, I'm in the way. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Okay, good. Now you can see. Right. So with this additional, this increase in the print head swath, right? Basically, we are able to achieve faster productivity. So that's where when we print on poster papers like this, glossy papers like this, you are able to achieve up to, for normal, 19 square meters an hour, right? And best modes at around 14 square meters an hour, right? Right. At the same time,